we can create higher order all pass systems by cascading several multiple first order systems. So this is a first order system, first order all pass system. This is how a first order all pass system looks like. Okay. So I hope all of you have made a note of this, because today we are going to decompose an H of Z into a minimum phase system and an all pass system. Okay. All of you are able to hear me? So today's lecture is going to be crucial because this is the crux of this chapter. So minimum phase systems are used in practice in filter design. We'll see why. So just one second, just adding people. Okay. So we can obtain higher order all pass systems by cascading first order all pass systems. So this is clear. Let me go to the next slide. All this I had shown in the last class. So we had also seen that cascading first order all pass systems will produce an all pass system, but adding first order all pass systems in parallel may not produce an all pass system. So I had shown you this particular example. So let me go to this particular diagram. Okay. So all of you can see this. Let me put it full screen. All of you can see this. So there is a pole and there is a zero here. So the pole is having rk into e to the power j phi k, and the zero is pk into e to the power j theta k. So the phase, these are the angles that it makes. If you see, what I want to say is that the unit circle is called the Apollonius circle. So why it is called like that? So the unit circle is the locus of a point, the ratio of whose distances from two fixed points is constant. So if you see here, the, the Z is a point on the unit circle, and Z is having a constant, as having a constant ratio of distances from two different points. So we'll see what is that. So if you see the all-pass system, then the key property can be illustrated geometrically using a pole zero plot. So suppose the unit circle is the locus of all points z such that pkz over length bar or over bar divided by zkz over bar is a constant is equal to 1 by mod of pk. So you see here pkz divided by zkz. So ratio of the distance of z from the pole pk and the 0, 1 by pk star. So you have a pole which is inside the unit circle, and you have taken a reciprocal of that. So that pole is actually rk into e to the power j phi k, and you have taken the reciprocal of that pole, you have mapped it outside the unit circle. So it is along this line. You have taken the reciprocal, so it becomes 1 by rk into e to the power j. So this is like this. 1 by pk star, that is equal to 1 by rk into e to the power j phi k. So you see here, this is the ratio of the distances pkz by zkz. So the zero that you see is actually the reciprocal of the pole. So if I show you this distance, zkz and pkz. So z point moves on this unit circle, and it is the locus of the ratio of the distances pkz divided by zkz. Okay. Can you hear me now? Something happened to my laptop. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So at what stage were you there? Like you had seen that circle? All of you had seen the circle?
So could you explain once
Yes, sir.
more? It was
Yeah, I'll explain
lagging a bit.
again. Yeah, I'll do that again. Just 1 second. So you see, this is our all-pass system. Can you all see my cursor? Are you all able to see the slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please speak up because I need to get some feedback from you. Yeah. So now you see, this is Z inverse minus PK star divided by 1 minus PK Z inverse. Okay. So you see here, so each pole PK of an all-pass system should be accompanied by a complex reciprocal 0, 1 by PK star. Okay. So all causal and stable all-pass systems must have all poles inside the unit circle. So if you want to create an all-pass system, you must have a pole, a causal and stable all-pass system, you must have a pole inside the unit circle and the corresponding reciprocal 0 outside the unit circle. So that can be shown with this diagram. You see there is a pole inside the unit circle and the corresponding reciprocal 0 outside the unit circle. Can you see my cursor, everyone? Are you able to see my cursor, everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So now you see we had z to the power minus 1 minus pk star on the numerator and 1 minus pk z inverse in the denominator. So the numerator contains the 0, that is the reciprocal 0, reciprocal pole, or that is 1 by pk star. Okay, that is the numerator. And the denominator contains the pole pk, which is inside the unit circle. Okay. So the denominator contains the pole pk and the numerator contains the reciprocal 0, 1 by pk star. So this is the term from the denominator, the pole, which is having a magnitude less than 1. And the reciprocal 0 is 1 by rk, which is definitely having magnitude greater than 1. Suppose rk is equal to 0.9, then 1 by rk is greater than 1. So if you take out a distance zkz and pkz and take the ratio of that, you see this pkz by zkz, that distance, the ratio, it turns out to be this e to the power j omega minus 1 by pk star, or z inverse minus 1 by pk star divided by 1 minus pk z inverse. Okay, you just simplify that, you will get this particular term. So if you, so on the unit circle, it will become 1 by pk mod. Okay, so the ratio of the distances of z from the pole pk and the reciprocal 0, 1 by pk star, is a constant. So the phase of this pole 0 pair is alpha k omega. If you see here, this is alpha k omega. That is the phase. So that is given as theta k omega minus here phi k omega. Okay. You see these two angles? Theta k omega minus phi k omega is equal to alpha k omega. You see here. So this will decrease monotonically from pi to 0 as omega increases from pi k to pi k plus pi. You can see this diagram. Suppose omega is equal to phi k, then this angle is equal to pi. Is it not? As omega increases from phi k to phi k plus pi, this will decrease from pi to 0. Alpha k will decrease from pi to 0. So this is the Apollonian circle, or the circle defined by the locus of the ratio of these two distances. So an all-pass system is composed of a pole, a first order all pass system is composed of a pole and the reciprocal zero. So this is the idea about an all pass system. It has a constant gain and will produce a constant delay. Okay. This part like is okay. Let me go to the next slide. So now you see the angle. You want to calculate the angle, the phase response of the all pass system. Pk is constant. This is a pole. Okay, this is constant. So the functions angle He omega and alpha k omega have the same shape. Only the range of values is different. So these are the formulas by which you can find out the phase, the magnitude, phase, and group delay of a first order all pass system, where Pk is equal to Rk into e to the power j phi k. So as I had said, the magnitude of an all pass system is 1 because you are dividing the numerator by denominator whose magnitudes are 1. So the magnitude of this all pass system is 1. The angle can be calculated like this. And this is the group delay. All this I had derived earlier. If you look at your notes, then I had derived these two formula. This is for one particular pole and zero combination. But I had derived this for the general case of a rational function containing multiple poles and multiple zeros. Should I put it in the full screen mode? Is this better?
Could you remove the bar?
Okay.
Hide.
Yeah. Can you see this? The bottom formula, can you see?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So this is for a first order all pass system where you have a single pole and the reciprocal zero. Is this okay? Can you relate it with the previous slide here? Okay. Once you're ready, let me know. once you made a note of these three formula, we'll move ahead. Everyone done? Shall I go ahead? Okay, so let us start. So you see, this is an example of the previous ideas. So this is the pole zero plot of the all-pass system. So you have one pole and the reciprocal 0 along the same line, because angle is the same. Then you have the log magnitude response. So mod of Hej omega is equal to 1. So log of this is equal to 0. So in decibels, you will get 0. So this is the magnitude response. It is constant because it is an all-pass system. Then you have the phase response. So you see this continuous phase response shown in blue color is the psi omega, or the unwrapped phase response, whereas the principal phase response is shown in the dotted black color. Can you all see that there is a discontinuity here? Can you see that there is a discontinuity? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you add this discontinuity here, you will get this function. Okay. If you remove this discontinuity and add this guy here to this function ends here. Remove this discontinuity and add this part of the function here, you will get this blue line. That is called unwrapping of the phase response. Okay. So in this example, you see that there is an unwrapping of the phase response. And if you take the derivative of this phase response, you will get the group delay. So our formula for the group delay is minus of the derivative with respect to omega of the unwrapped phase response, minus d psi by d omega. That is equal to group delay, tau of omega. So initially the slope is almost 0, and then slope suddenly increases. So that is what happens here. Slope suddenly increases. So this is the group delay for a first order all pass system with a pole at 0.8 e to the power j pi by 4. Okay. So using those three formula which I had shown earlier, you can work out this example. So given a pole at 0.8 e to the power j pi by 4, you can find the reciprocal 0, and you can create the all pass system, and then you can find out its magnitude response, phase response, and group delay. Okay, let me move ahead. The continuous phase response can be evaluated like this, where psi 0 for real cases is 0. For real signal, psi 0 is 0. And this is the unwrapped phase response. In MATLAB, there is a function called angle. This will compute principal value, and it produces that discontinuous dashed curve. So in MATLAB, if you calculate the angle, using angle function, you calculate out the phase response, you will get this dashed curve. So using this curve, you have to produce psi omega. This dashed curve is actually angle of hk e to the power j omega. So you have to unwrap this phase response. That means you have to remove this discontinuity and add this guy here to get the continuous phase response, only whose derivative you can take to calculate the group delay. Okay. So before I come to minimum phase systems, let us discuss a little bit about invertible systems. So if you have a system h of z, whose input is x of n and output is yn, then it is said that the system h of z can have an inverse system if you can determine xn from yn. Suppose h of z is given x of n as input and produces y of n, then h inverse of z will take input as y of n and will produce x of n as output. So the h inverse of z will produce xn when excited by yn, and that is called the inverse system. So that can be defined like this. So if h of z is given as bz by az, then h inverse is written as az by bz. So in the time domain, it is the Kronecker delta convolution of h of n and h inverse of n. Okay. So now let us talk about minimum phase systems. So the zeros of h of z will become poles of its inverse system and vice versa. So a causal and stable system h of z should have its poles inside the unit circle, but its zeros can be anywhere. So in inverse filtering applications, the problem is that the zeros can be anywhere. So h of inverse should be causal and stable as well in inverse filtering operations. For example, I'll give you an idea of an inverse filter. Hold on. So if you think of a camera as a system, I had told you that a camera is at best it can be thought of as an LTI system or a linear shift invariant system. So you take a camera and you take a picture from a camera, and imagine that while taking the picture, your hand has shook. So the camera produces a blurred image. That means the image is out of focus, or somehow the image is not sharp. So now you want to create a filter which will remove that camera shake or remove that blur in the picture. All if you are able to understand what I'm saying? Are you able to hear me, everyone?
Yes.
I'm just trying to give you an example of an inverse filter, and I'm trying to tell you why inverse filter is tricky to design. So you want to create a filter in an algorithm which will take the input image which is blurred and it will produce a sharp image or a focused image. So to design that inverse filter, you need to know what are the poles and zeros of the original system. Okay. So to practically realize that inverse filter, the filter should be causal and stable. So what happens if the inverse, the inverse filter will have poles outside its unit circle? That is going to be trouble. So a causal and stable LTI system with a causal and stable inverse is known as the minimum phase system, such that the inverse filter should be also causal and stable. That means the poles and zeros of h of z should all be lying inside the unit circle. For a causal and stable h of z, you have only the condition on poles, not the condition on zeros. Zeros can lie anywhere. But such a system may not have a causal and stable inverse. So to ensure that h of z has a causal and stable inverse, both poles and zeros must lie inside the unit circle. And such a system is known as a minimum phase system. We'll just understand what is minimum phase about it. But just to give you a definition, a system h of z whose poles and zeros lie both inside the unit circle are said to be minimum phase systems. So the impulse response h of n and h inverse of n should be causal and absolutely summable. That means they exist only on the right hand side. H of n is equal to 0 for n less than 0. And similarly, h inverse of n is equal to 0 for n less than 0. They are right-handed sequences. So poles and zeros both should be inside the unit circle. That is the basic idea of a minimum phase system. If you have made a note of this, then I'll move to the next slide. Is this over? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is the important part of today's class, where we want to decompose a system or any system with a rational system function into a minimum phase system and an all-pass system. You see how powerful this idea is. You have an arbitrary system function. It can only constraint is that it can be expressed as a rational function. So you can write that as a product of a minimum phase system and an all-pass system. An all-pass system is almost a trivial system. Okay, it is a lossless system. It has a constant gain and some delay. Suppose h of z has 1, 0 at z equal to 1 by a star, where mod of a is less than 1. So if mod of a is less than 1, then 1 by a star will lie outside the unit circle. And all other poles and zeros are inside the unit circle. Suppose this is the situation. So this is not a minimum phase system because one of its zeros is lying outside the unit circle, but all poles and zeros are inside the unit circle. Then what shall I do such that I get a minimum phase system which has all poles and zeros inside the unit circle and an all-pass system? Are you able to understand where we are going? We are trying to remove this problem that suppose h of z has 1, 0 which is outside the unit circle and all other poles and zeros are inside the unit circle, then we can factor h of z as some h1 of z into this factor, where h1 of z by definition is a minimum phase system. And we will see by doing some manipulation that on the right hand side here we will produce an all-pass system. So we can write h of z which is a non-minimum phase system or an arbitrary rational function into a product of a minimum phase system and an all-pass system. So this is the most important part of this chapter, where I'm trying to connect all-pass systems, minimum phase systems, and arbitrary systems. This is the trickiest chapter in DSP. Okay, that's why I've taken so much time to cover it. Within 2-3 classes, it will be over. But this is the real crux of DSP. Shall I move ahead? Everyone, I think all of you have noted this. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us write this. You see what is happening? We have introduced two terms in the numerator and the denominator, and we have kept the previous equation. You see here, I just introduced two terms in this equation. And can you identify that this system is an all-pass system, everyone? So what you have done is, you have produced you have decomposed an arbitrary system function which can have zeros and poles outside the unit circle. In this case, only one zero outside the unit circle. And you have created two systems. One is an all-pass system and the other one is a minimum phase system. So H1 of Z into 1 minus AZ inverse is minimum phase. So 1 minus AZ inverse will produce a zero which is lying inside the unit circle. Okay? And Z inverse minus A star divided by 1 minus AZ inverse is an all-pass system. So if you repeat this process for every zero outside the unit circle for any arbitrary H of Z, then you can write this equation. This is the most important equation in this chapter. I think tomorrow we can continue this discussion at 6 o'clock when we have a 2-hour class. So I'll give you some more examples and I'll try to show you. So why is this called a minimum phase system? That we should understand. So actually it is a minimum phase lag or a minimum group delay system. This question. So this particular chapter leads to a lot of interview questions. So anyone who is appearing in interviews of DSP or anything, you be aware. Is we have decomposed an arbitrary system function H of Z which can have poles and zeros outside the unit circle, that you have now decomposed and made it into a minimum phase system and an all-pass system. Okay. So this is a small example. So I'll show this tomorrow. And today I'm exceeding time. I'll not do this example. So tomorrow we'll look at this example. So today I'll just end here.